Hi everyone, welcome to Think IAS. We are here again with the video series for UPSC Prelim 2021. Today we are going to talk about Monetary Policy Committee, but before that, let's see what question we asked in the previous video. The question was, consider the following statement regarding Kala Azar. First statement says it spreads due to the infection by a parasite called Trypanosoma cruzi. Second statement says it is caused by the bite of a female phlebotomine sandfly. We have to tell the incorrect answer. So the incorrect answer is the first statement. So the answer will be only 1. Now let's talk about the Monetary Policy Committee. The RBI is vested with the responsibility of conducting monetary policy under the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. Monetary policy refers to the policy of the central bank with regard to the use of monetary instruments under its control to achieve the goal specified in the Act to regulate magnitude such as interest rate, money supply and availability of credit. Now let's see what are the processes included in this monetary policy. So under section 45ZB of the RBI Act 1934, it is empowered to have 6-member monetary policy committee which consists of 3 RBI members and 3 government nominated members. The RBI governor acts as the chairperson of this MPC, whereas the government nominated members are here for the they hold the office for the period of 4 years or until the further orders, whichever is the earliest one. The first such MPC was constituted on September 29, 2016. Now we have to talk about the goals of this monetary policy. The primary objective of monetary policy is to maintain price stability while keeping in mind the objective of growth. Price stability is necessary precondition to sustainable growth. In May 2016, RBI Act 1934 was amended to provide statutory basis for the implementation of flexible inflation targeting framework. And after the amendment of RBI Act, the central government has notified the CPI as Consumer Price Index inflation as 4% for the target for 5 years between August 5, 2016 to March 31st, 2021. It can be increased or decreased by 2%, so we can call it as 4% plus minus 2%. Minimum it can go to 2% and maximum it can go to 6%. Central government has notified that the factors which can constitute to the failure of this achieving this inflation target is: 1, if the average inflation is more than 6%, that is from the higher upper tolerance level of the inflation target for any 3 consecutive quarters. Similarly, if the average inflation rate is less than the lower tolerance level, that is 2%, for any 3 consecutive quarters. Now we have to talk about the policy framework. So the Amendment Act of RBI explicitly provide the legislative mandate to Reserve Bank to operate the monetary policy framework of the country. The framework aims to setting the policy rate, we call it as repo rate also, based on an assessment of the current and evolving macroeconomic situation and modulating of liquidity conditions to anchor the money market rates or around the repo rate. The repo rate changes transit through the money market to the entire financial system, which in turn influences aggregate demand, a key determinant of inflation and growth. Once the repo rate is announced, the operating framework designed by the RBI envisages liquidity management on day-to-day basis through appropriate actions, which aims to anchoring the operating target, that is WACR, weighted average call rate, which is around repo rate. The operating framework is fine-tuned and revised depending on the evolving financial market and monetary conditions while ensuring consistency with the monetary policy stance. Now, as I have mentioned about the monetary policy stance, so we have 3 types of monetary policy stance. One is the neutral stance, second is the expansionary stance, we call it as accommodative stance as well, and third is the contractionary stance. Now we have to talk about the instruments used for the monetary policy. First is the reserve ratio, cash reserve ratio, we call it as CRR also. The average daily balance that bank is required to maintain with Reserve Bank as a share of such percent of its net demand and time liabilities that Reserve Bank may notify from time to time in the Gazette of India. We call it as CRR. So let's say if a consumer has deposited 100 crore in the bank, so bank has to put some amount with the RBI. If the CRR percentage is 4%, we can say that the bank has to keep 4 crore with RBI, and remaining 96 crore will be the balance for the with the bank to distribute as a loan. Second is the statutory liquidity ratio, which is also known as SLR. The share of NDTL, that is the net demand time liquidity or liability, that the bank is required to maintain with itself in safe and liquid assets such as government security, cash or gold. And if someone is depositing some money in the bank, after paying for the CRR, bank need to keep some amount with itself also in three forms: gold, cash or government security. Now we have to see the difference between CRR and SLR. When we say CRR, it is the percentage of money which bank need to keep with the central bank in the form of cash only, and it is there so that if there is lots of liquidity in the market, it can absorb that and it can control the excess money in the market. The amount which the bank is keeping is maintaining with the RBI, and it is regulating the liquidity in the economy, and the bank is not getting any interest on the CRR. Whereas if I talk about SLR, the bank has to keep the certain amount with itself in the form of government securities, gold or cash, and it is helping in meeting out the unexpected demand of any depositor by selling the bonds. Here the credit growth is it regulates, SLR regulates the credit growth in the economy, and bank can earn interest on SLR. Next is the repo rate. It is a fixed interest rate at which Reserve Bank provide overnight liquidity to bank against the collateral of government or other approved securities under the liquidity adjustment facility. Then we have a reverse repo rate, where the interest rate at which the Reserve Bank absorb liquidity on an overnight basis from bank against the collateral of eligible government security under LAF. Now we have to talk about what is LAF, liquidity adjustment facility. It consists of overnight as well as the term repo auction. The aim of this repo is to help develop the interbank term money market, which in turn can set market-based benchmark for pricing of loans and deposits, and hence improve transmission of monetary policy. Then we have a marginal standing facility. It is a facility under which scheduled commercial bank can borrow additional amount of overnight money from RBI by dipping into their SLR portfolio up to the limit at a penal rate of interest. This provides a safety valve against the unanticipated liquidity shock to the banking system. Now let's see the difference between LAF and MSF. LAF has, if the bank is working on LAF, the minimum binding amount is 5 crore, whereas for MSF it is 1 crore. In LAF, all clients of RBI are eligible to bid, whereas in MSF, only the scheduled commercial banks are allowed to bid. In LAF, the bank cannot sold the government security to RBI, which is there in the part of SLR quota, whereas in MSF, the bank can sell government security from the SLR quota to RBI. In LAF, bank can borrow any amount of money as long as it has the government security to sell, whereas in MSF, bank can maximize borrow up to the 2% of its NDTL. The LAF cost repo rate, whatever will be the repo rate, the bank need to pay that much interest. When we talk about MSF, the bank need to pay lending interest or lending rate to repo rate plus 1%. Then there is a term which is known as corridor. The MSF rate and the reverse repo rate determine the corridor for the daily movement of weighted average called money rate. Then we have a bank rate, which means a rate at which Reserve Bank is ready to buy or rediscount bill of exchange or other commercial papers. This rate has been aligned to the MSF rate and therefore changes automatically as and when the MSF rate changes alongside the policy repo rate changes. Next is the open market operation, where it includes both outright purchase or sale of the government securities for injection and absorption of durable liquidity respectively. Whereas when we talk about the market stabilization scheme, Surplus liquidity of a more enduring nature arising from the large capital inflow is absorbed through the sale of short-dated government securities and treasury bills. The cash so mobilized is held in the separate government account with the Reserve Bank. I hope you like the lecture. I hope you understand. If you have any doubt or questions, please write your questions in the comment section. We will try to answer them as soon as possible. Do like, share and subscribe to Think IAS. Till then, bye bye. Have a nice day.